We obviously have live cameras and reporters out live in the conditions, but so often your perspective is giving us a real idea what's happening around.
Right.
And Ryan, you're hearing a lot of that.
Yeah, which is really nice. A lot of it is it hasn't started here yet.
A lot of questions.
Or
a lot of the state is outside the snow line.
Or it's snowing and we already have several inches. Sanford, Springvale, 4 to 4.5. That's 6 in Kennebunk. Gray, the snow just began in the last hour, Elizabeth said. Nothing in Oakland. Snowing and windy in Poland that finally started there.
So you can picture that line as you're describing where that is.
Gardner just started snowing 11:20. Same idea. It's like a west to east line.
And once it starts, the ground gets covered very quickly.
Yes, that's what we've been seeing all morning long. And it's not just the fact that the snow comes down at a decent rate. It's that once the snow is on the ground, it's blowing and drifting.
Right. Yeah.
Right.
So, which is changing the perspective of how much has fallen.
Right. Well, and that's the part about the whole blizzard warning thing. When it came out yesterday, my initial reaction was, oh no, people are going to think we're in line for 1 to 2 feet of snow.
Which is not
the
case.
Forecast, not what we were expecting. It's that the wind gusts are so strong and consistent that the visibility is so low. This is actually a look at our streaming radar, by the way, which you can always get here on News Center Maine Plus. But there's that line that's headed northward. And right up to about Poland and Gardner, not much in the foothills.
That bare hole is shrinking.
It is. I have a couple of cameras to show you too. This will kind of tell the story of where that line is. Kennebunk, you're in it. You have been now for several hours. We've been showing this camera in Portland too. This is 295. You can see the roads covered here at 20 degrees in Portland right now. Gray, only an hour and a half ago, you just had flurries, and now in Auburn, the snow really just beginning, and you already have a coating there on the road in Auburn. Augusta, not quite to you yet. You might have a couple of flurries starting, but that line is getting very close. And what's been amazing to me, I can't really recall too many storms where you go from fine visibility to the snow starting and the visibility dropping so dramatically so quickly. We have quarter-mile visibility in Rockland, Wiscasset, Portland, Lewiston, all the way down to Sanford and the seacoast, and that's either near blizzard or blizzard conditions. So that's why the warning came out. Then if you're out of the snow, the visibility not quite as bad. The radar here in southern Maine matching up pretty well. There's the leading edge. It's now snowing in Gray, New Gloucester, Sebago, Windham, Gardner, it's snowing. Augusta, you're about to start if it hasn't already started where you are. Snowing on the interior mid-coast, places like Jefferson, Whitefield, over to Rockland, Belfast. I haven't had too many reports out of like Ellsworth and Bar Harbor yet, so if you're seeing snow there, let me know. Machias for that matter too. Wind is out of the northeast. This is a nor'easter, and it is cold. 20 degrees in Portland. We're at 19 in Lewiston right now. Here is the center of the storm. We are really on the edge of its precipitation shield, but because it grew both in size and in intensity, the pressure difference between this high and this low is so strong, and that's what's really driving the winds as it passes to the north and east. The very center, just outside of the benchmark, 40 north, 70 west, if the center of the storm were more up in here, closer to Nantucket, all of Maine would get into the heavier snow, or much more of Maine. In this case, it's really just the coastal plain and eastern Maine that gets into the heavy snow as the center of the low moves up and past Nova Scotia by tomorrow morning. So let's focus on the snow, the timing and whatnot. You can see this lines up pretty well. That leading edge getting into Lewiston, Gardner, Augusta, snowing on the mid-coast. And some of the heaviest banding this afternoon will be either just offshore or just onshore in down East Maine. You combine that with the wind, there's a lot of blowing and drifting that'll be happening too, with temperatures in the 20s. I think in western and central Maine, this ends between 6 and 9 o'clock, other than just a few snow showers. And then between 9 and midnight for most of you in central and eastern Maine. So that's when the crews can go out, and other than just some blowing and drifting, this is pretty much what you'll be cleaning up. And I think our map is holding up pretty well. I think we'll have some 10 plus amounts down over southern Maine and the seacoast in New Hampshire, and probably another max that's possible down east. Here are the current wind gusts: 39 miles per hour in Portland, 38 miles per hour in Lewiston. We're gusting to 74 on Nantucket. Fortunately, this is a dry and powdery snow, so it's not caking the trees and power lines. And the strongest winds are probably early to mid-afternoon. Can't rule out an isolated power outage, but we should hold up pretty well. On top of that, the gusty northeasterly wind churning the Gulf of Maine. We have 20-foot seas off the Isles of Shoals and just outside of Massachusetts Bay, and there is a coastal flood warning for the high tide that's about 3 o'clock this afternoon. If you have any interests on the coastline or you just want to see how this pans out, make sure you check in with us this afternoon. We're going to have crews down in York County. Coastal flooding, particularly after what happened 2 Januaries ago, is something people with any interest on the coast very concerned about. In this case, I don't think it's going to be anything crazy. It's a northeast wind, not a southerly wind, and in this case the tide itself astronomically is not as high. But when you have such a strong storm and such strong winds during a high tide, it's almost inevitable to at least get some splash over. So we'll have that for you. That coastal flood warning is 1 p.m. to 6 p.m. today.
Okay, yeah. Obviously it's on the minds of people who are there.
Very true.
Brian, thanks.
You're welcome.
All right, something to keep an eye out for during this storm that's coming up next.